This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. By now, we've all gotten used to the hypocrisy of Republicans. How they cry and whine and proclaim themselves to be the champions of the Republic, the lovers of freedom and liberty, until it's time to count the votes, until it's time to actually practice democracy. When that time comes, then it's throw away the ballots, disenfranchise this group, hold on to power by any means necessary. And we're witnessing that right now in the aftermath of this election that Joe Biden won clearly and convincingly. Lindsey Graham, of all people, is acting in a manner to disenfranchise tens of thousands of Georgia voters, not even his own state. He is intervening on behalf of Donald Trump with the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, to throw out legally cast ballots. The same Lindsey Graham who called it like he saw it during the 2016 campaign, calling Donald Trump a kook and a xenophobic religious bigot. Remember this?
He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. He doesn't represent my party. He doesn't represent the values that the men and women who wear the uniform are fighting for. I've been in the Air Force for 33 years. I retired this June. He's the ISIL Man of the Year, by the way. I'm not going to try to get into the mind of Donald Trump because I don't think there's a whole lot of space there. I think he's a kook. I think he's crazy. I think he's unfit for office. And I'm a Republican, and he's not. He's not a conservative Republican. He's an opportunist.
So we know he knows what Trump's about. We know it. We watched him say it. He identified Trump, put his finger on the button, knew what Trump is about, knows indeed what Trump is about. But because Lindsey Graham is an obsequious, servile dog, he is bowing to Donald Trump's will, to do whatever bidding Donald Trump would like. Because he loves being dominated by Donald Trump, like the little piggy that he is. Lapping at Donald Trump's boots like they're an ice cream cone on a hot summer afternoon. Lindsey Graham's new favorite thing to do. He is going to the Georgia Secretary of State asking to throw out legal ballots. And this isn't just a report or anonymous source. This is coming straight from the Republican Secretary of State of Georgia. This is felonious behavior. Not just reprehensibly immoral and unethical. This is engaging in election fraud, trying to convince a duly elected Republican member of Georgia state government to commit election fraud. Here Raffensperger is, here Raffensberger, saying his name incorrectly. Here's Brad Raffensperger on CBS this morning talking about this.
Well, when Senator Graham called, I just assumed that he was calling about the two runoffs for the senators, so I called him back. And then during our discussion, he asked if ballots could be matched back to the envelope, the absentee ballots could be matched back to the envelope. I explained our process after it went through two sets of signature match. At that point, they were separated. But then Senator Graham applied for us to audit the envelopes and then throw out the ballots for counties who had the highest frequency error of signatures. And that I tried to, help explain that that's because we did signature match, you couldn't tie the signatures back anymore, to those ballots. Just like if you voted in person, my name is not on my ballot. And so it can't be tied back to me. It's really something that's been around for over 100 years, the secret ballot.
This is a very serious accusation. He says you guys had a pleasant conversation, calls it very nice, and says if you have a problem with it, that's on you. Was there a moment in the call where you said, I'm sorry, Mr. Senator, but what you're asking me to do or suggesting I should do is not up to me and is not right morally, legally, or otherwise?
I really just got off the call and I said I would circle back, and I talked to counsel and I get back to him, and we just decided the best action was not to, get back and re-engage. Yeah. I thought we were going to be he's probably asking what's the status of the senator races, the runoffs. Yeah. When I went down this other path, I think the best thing was just to disengage and move forward. Yeah. And that's what we're doing right now. We're doing 100% retallying of the votes as part of our audit.
And not only is this happening with Lindsey Graham, Kelly Loeffler, the senator, the sitting senator who was appointed to her position, is calling for the resignation of Brad Raffensperger. So is David Perdue calling for his resignation because he won't bend the knee to Donald Trump, our fascist in the White House. Because election integrity matters. And it should to any sitting Secretary of State across the nation in our 50 states who administer the elections, who oversee the elections, who certify elections. It should matter. It shouldn't be lip service that you love Americans until it's time to let them choose who represents them. And it's getting so bad with Donald Trump whipping up a frenzy that this gentleman is receiving death threats. And look, being somebody who's been on the receiving end of many, many death threats, it's not fun. And I can't imagine it coming from my own team. It's got to be alarming to him that this is where we are in the United States right now, where if you don't act in a completely servile manner to Donald Trump, you are worthy of death. That is a punishment worthy of death. Here he is talking to Wolf Blitzer yesterday night about that same thing.
You also told the Washington Post, Mr. Secretary, that you and your wife have actually faced death threats over the election results. So this is you're quarantining right now after your wife tested positive for coronavirus. So how are you both doing? I assume you're still negative. Is that right?
I'm still negative. There's some threats have come in, primarily through my wife's cell phone number. That's a little unsettling for her, obviously. The first ones came in just, more subtle, and then they got more graphic, and then they come in with some vulgarity also. And so, we always think I'm on this side of the aisle, obviously, and you always think that your side wears the white hats. But people are really upset about this. And at the end of the day, I understand how contentious it is. We're going to follow the process. We follow the law. The results will be what they are. I'm going to probably be disappointed because I was rooting for the Republicans to win, obviously. But I have a process. I have a law that I follow. Integrity in this office matters.
And that statement right there ties it all together. That integrity in this office matters, as well it should for any elected official. It matters. Protecting the sanctity of the vote matters, because that is the thread that ties everything together in a democracy. Whether you like the results or not, if the people choose, the people choose. We are a self-governed entity. We, the people. And to prove that Georgia is doing the right thing and Raffensperger is doing the right thing, there's a case right now, I want to get it right here, about 2,600 uncounted votes found in Georgia amid statewide recount. The recount that he initiated. The votes from a heavily Republican county in northwestern Georgia. Again, the votes in a heavily Republican county in northwestern Georgia are likely to narrow Biden's 14,000 vote lead over Trump in the state, but not by enough to change the outcome. The votes were found on a memory card in an optical scanner that poll workers had neglected to remove and upload as part of their tallying process on Election Day. The discrepancy was resolved as part of a statewide hand recount of the presidential vote underway in Georgia. But it probably would have been fixed even without the recount, because officials were aware that the number of voters who had checked in at voting locations was about 2,600 higher than the total votes tallied, said Jordan Fuchs of the Georgia Secretary of State's office. Now, the election official in this county has been fired for gross negligence or just an oversight that just can't be tolerated. They're taking care of it. And not only are they taking care of it in Georgia, they're taking care of it all across the country. There's a gentleman named Chris Krebs, who Donald Trump himself appointed to a new agency within the Homeland Security Administration. It's the head of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Chris Krebs, he released a statement the other day about, now keep in mind, I want to repeat this. This needs to be reiterated. Donald Trump's own hand-picked head of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency released this joint statement from Elections Infrastructure Government Coordinating Council and the Election Infrastructure Sector Coordinating Executive Committees. Because you can't have enough words in the title of organizations. And in this statement, a few things of note. The November 3rd election was the most secure in American history. Right now, across the country, election officials are reviewing and double-checking the entire election process prior to finalizing the result. The November 3rd election was the most secure in the history of these United States. In the history of our country. Coming from Donald Trump's own hand-picked leader of this organization. When states have close elections, many will recount ballots. All of the states with close election results in the 2020 presidential race have paper records of each vote, allowing the ability to go back and count each ballot if necessary. This is an added benefit for security and resilience. This process allows for the identification and correction of any mistakes or errors. And then they bold this. They put this in bold because it's important. There is no evidence that any voting system deleted or lost votes, changed votes, or was in any way compromised. That's coming from Donald Trump's own dude. So all of this is nonsense, and because it's all these claims of voter fraud and election fraud are nonsense, and because they are nonsense, they have to grasp at straws with bogus, frivolous lawsuits that are being tossed out one after the other. And then when that is starting to fail, then they resort to criminality, like Lindsey Graham is, pressuring elected officials to commit election fraud. This is the Republican Party. The death throes of the Republican Party, gasping for its last breaths, because the American people have spoken resoundingly. Biden beat Donald Trump by like 5.5, 6 million votes at this point. And they can't handle it because they're losing their grip on power. Not as quickly as we would like, of course, but losing it nonetheless. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think. Give me a call. Leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. Email me daily at dollemore.com. I appreciate all of your correspondence, all of the well wishes, all for my daughter. You guys are beautiful people. I really love the community that's built up around this little show. If you'd like to support my work, I would appreciate you considering doing so. For fewer than $2 a month, you can help support my work here on YouTube. If I'm able to marshal the size of my audience, which just crossed 250,000 subscribers, I would be completely unencumbered by YouTube's capricious sometimes and arbitrary rules about monetization. And I think my work is important. I think the work of independent creators and independent media analysts, if you will, correspondents, commentators, it is important. If I'm not your guy, if I don't bring enough value to your day, to your life, to your existence, then don't worry about it. But find someone who does. I'm sure they would appreciate it. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.